Hey, so I'm here in a hotel room, and we're in Salt Lake City, and so we are actually going to be helping our son finish a basement. He lives in a small townhouse, and so we're finishing the basement for some extra room for them, and I am actually helping um, with watching my little grandson Lachlan, who's 3 years old and adorable. And so, yeah. So, note to parents, even when they're grown up, you're still mom and dad. And even though your relationship changes, they still need you. They need you to love them, and they need you to help out, and to encourage them on. And so that's part of just parenting. That's how it works. So anyway, I hope that everyone is doing really well. So this is our third live, and so we have two more to go. So we'll have one next Monday, and then next Wednesday will be our finish up one. And so I hope that you're trying some new things, you're thinking about some new things, and that it's working for you. And just a reminder that if you have any questions, you can always put them in the comments here. You can post them on our private website or our private Facebook Live, but you can also just send them to me if you want. And so it's just DJ Stutz at littleheartsacademyusa.com. And I'll go ahead and put that in the comments below if you forget. But I am always open and excited to talk to my parents who are looking to just continue learning. So when you're a teacher, I happen to know this. When you're a teacher, everyone's like, oh, you get the summers off and all of this. Well, the interesting thing is they require so many hours of, you have to get continuing college credits, you have to do continuing training. There are trainings you have to do every year, and they keep track on whether you're up on that stuff or not. And so I've done it. I've taken, in fact, at one point I was teaching full-time and in preschool, and I was carrying 18 credits at night school, just to move up on my degree. And oh my goodness, I got something in my throat. Hold on just 1 second. Well, that's the last of that. Anyway, so it was just very hard to do, and I had a lot of support with my husband, with my employer, with my team that I was working with, and I was able to get through it. But it's very hard. So a lot of teachers spend their summers taking classes and getting certifications, and or doing a student trip maybe to Europe or back east or whatever. But teachers are very busy doing teachery things during the summer, and I always was at the school. Unless I was like on a vacation, I was at the school once or twice a week all summer long, trying to get things organized, planning, what can I do differently? Well, it can be the same thing for parents. So as you are moving along, it's important actually for you to keep up on what are the new things, and be very careful of where you're getting your information from too, because there are some sites that are very factual, and then there are some sites that are very agenda driven, and it can be on the right or the left, but they're very agenda driven. And so you want to make sure that you're really checking out where you're getting your information from. Of course, you can always just come to me and I'll help you out. And so I'm always happy for that. And too, when we're done with this class, I'm going to be opening my group coaching, and that I only open 3 times a year. And so I think it's August 8th is when it will open up. It'll be open for 10 days. and then that's it. And then it's not going to open up again for another 4 months. So if you really want to keep up on things and have someone that you can ask questions to, you'll have access of, getting to me with individual questions. You'll have access to other parents that are working on the same things that you are. And so it's just a really good spot for parents. It's a fun place, and we really enjoy our time there. So let's get going though. I have 3 big things that I want to go over with us today. And the first one is when your kids are like, right? They're losing it. It's not a time to teach them what they need to do or how they need to. Sometimes the more you try to calm them down, the harder it gets, because then it just naturally, it's not that some kids will be wanting to manipulate, but most of the kids, they're just so upset. And think about when you're really scared or really upset or really worried, that is not the time for your husband or wife to come and say, you know what you need to do, right? Well, it's the same with our kids. And so we need to wait until they calm down. Now, that doesn't mean, if you've got to go, you've got to go. If you've got to pick up your kid and carry him out to the car because they're having a hard time, you got to. If they're having a hard time going into the school and, they're holding on to you and stuff, I promise, give them to the teacher and walk away, because they will calm down. Sometimes in less than a minute of when you're out of sight, almost always within 5 minutes. Very rarely. It's not even once a year that I have a child that will cry for the whole day or, more than an hour. It's very rare that actually happens. Of course, I'm an amazing teacher. Oh, that's hysterical. My tripod was starting to fall. I hit the cord. Oh, anyway, okay, enough hilarity. But a good teacher can get a child to calm down easily, and a good teacher is never going to say quit crying. A good parent's never going to say quit crying, because they can't. And it turns into that power struggle. Really? Make me quit crying. I dare you to make me quit crying. It goes in their head and they become really defiant, especially when they get into those defiant ages. And we talked about that at our last live on Wednesday. So if you missed it, just go back to the live number 2. It's all there on the page, and really look at when does that defiance come in. And that's when you might really have a struggle, when you're trying to force them to do something and they have that autonomy, right? How really, unless you're going to tape their mouth shut, how are you going to make them quit crying? And even if you do tape their mouth shut, they're going to keep crying. And then someone's going to call CPS on you. So don't tape their mouth shut and just say, I can see you're upset. I can see you need to cry. Do you want to cry here? Do you want to cry over? Maybe you have a cozy corner that you've set up and it's got maybe a soft pillow or a chair, some books, whatever. Sometimes kids might need the noise reducing headphones. That helps them sometimes, or something that they can listen to, calm music or a story. I'd rather not have it on a screen, because then that's not really calming them down. That's diverting them. And then as soon as you take the screen away, very often all those emotions will come right up again and they would still be mad. And so I would rather have you do something with just calming music, with books, with sensory things that they can play with. Sometimes I've used now in my classroom, I've used some things with like blowing a pinwheel, right? And we even had like a fake flower tape. I just used the like the florist tape, and so I would get a fake flower and I would tape it around the handle of the pinwheel. Hey Raylene, it's good to see you. And I would tape it around there, and then I would have the kids blow the pinwheel, and then smell the flower. Blow the pinwheel, smell the flower. And so that, okay, nothing works 100% of the time, just letting you know. And realize that if they're really mad, you may have to let them, they may just destroy it. And then you're like, oh, that's too bad that you did that. Okay, well, it's gone. It's in the garbage. That's sad. So I can see you still need to calm down. But you're not going to get really mad and start screaming at them for that, because then that's exactly what they want you to do. Whether they know it or not, they are trying, because it's human nature. They're trying to amp you up to the same level that they're at. And they think that's going to help them calm down. Why aren't you as mad as I am, right? But we don't want to do that, because that's not going to calm them down. And so when they're upset, we're not going to say, now this is what you need to do. Or even sometimes, breathe, you just gotta breathe, right? What's worked for me with both my kids and then my students who are really upset is, I can see you're upset and you need to cry. Do you wanna cry here? Do you wanna cry in the cozy corner? Do you want me to be with you? Do you want me to go away? And they have some, and actually just having the process of making that decision can help them calm down to a huge point. And another thing that I will do is say, we've got a basket of fidgets, and that's only for that quiet corner. And I'll have a bunch of different kinds. And say, you can choose one of these if that will help you. If not, that's okay, I'll just put it away. And so now you're giving them permission to start making decisions about their own emotions, about their autonomy, and you're not saying, don't feel bad. Oh, don't feel bad, you shouldn't feel bad, right? Well, they do feel bad. And so now we're letting them know that their emotions aren't appropriate, that, you know what I mean? They're appropriate to them because that's what they're feeling. So just give them some things. I can see you're upset. You look really furious to me, man. When you're this mad, that's furious. I think you're furious. And so how are we going to move forward? And you stay calm with them. You give them some options. Now, what happens? You're late for work or they're late for school and you've got to get out the door. I'm going to give you some ideas. All right, so today we're working on, the first 2 days, we really worked a lot on the parent. What's going on inside, right? We worked on that. Then today, I'm giving you some specific things that you can use with your kids. And so that's one of them is understand you're gonna have to teach the lesson later. And a really good time is, let's say you set a game night, and it doesn't have to be board games. It could be hide and seek in the backyard or tag, or a lot of times our little guys, and I'm saying kids 8 and under, it doesn't have to be a toddler, but these younger kids really need that physical movement and all of that. And so maybe one night a week, if it's game night, it can be, what is it, cornhole? Or, it can be all kinds of things that you have out there. Maybe you've got a badminton net outside, or maybe it's just a water balloon fight. That's a fun game, especially when it's as hot as it is right now. And so just think about it. In the winter, go outside, wrap up, and have a snowball fight if you're in an area that gets snow. Or maybe around Christmas time, it's a great time to go around and just look at the beautiful displays that are around in different neighborhoods or down at City Hall or whatever. Or maybe find a place to maybe do a kind thing. And so a lot of times, especially around the holidays, there are a lot of opportunities to just go do something kind, or you can do something on your own. So when I say game night, it's really an interaction night. But then that's also a great time to talk with your kids about, wow, it is hard getting out in the morning. Have you noticed that? Of course, they're the ones causing it, right? And so if you say, wow, have you noticed how hard it is for us getting out in the morning? What do you think is the problem? And we're not going to say, oh no, don't be silly. But we're going to say, wow, that's really interesting. So how then do you think we can fix that problem? And now they're helping you decide how we're going to fix that problem. Now you can do a bunch of things. You can cut out pictures out of magazines or whatever to put up and help them remember. We can take photos, phone, and have them, okay, I'm gonna take your picture. Pretend you're ready to go out the door. Let me see. You have your backpack on, and what else do they need to go? And you're ready to go. Oh, let me get that picture, right? And you make it just something fun and silly to do. Then you're gonna print that picture and put it up somewhere. You can make a schedule with those. You can use those like clip art things. There's so many different apps that have the clip art. But honestly, and that's fine if that's what you have available. But honestly, the best schedules are gonna be pictures of your child doing what they need to do. So that whether that's brushing teeth, put on their jammies, waking up in the morning, and they love to pretend, okay, get into your bed and we'll pretend you're waking up, and you're gonna take that picture, and it's all this pretend fun stuff. And very often they will go with you along on that. Very often they will do that. And so now when you say, how can we remember? Because you said this is what would help you in the morning. What can we do to help us remember to do that? Now they're invested. And even a 3-year-old is going to join in on that and come up with ideas. And they may be crazy ideas. And they may be an idea that that's not gonna work, right? But to the best of your ability, try it. And then we can talk about it. Oh, we still had trouble going out. That idea, what do you think? That didn't work very well. Yeah, let's think of another one that we can try, and then they're getting into it, and then they're going to start realizing, well, I really want my idea to work, right? And so then they have an incentive to be part of that moving forward. All right. So we've covered some of those things. Is we're not going to try to teach them when they're upset. We're going to find different times and engaging ways to teach them of better behavior. What are the expectations? Blah, blah, blah. We're going to give them a place to go, whether that's on your lap or up in their room or in a cozy corner. It's so funny. I was talking to my grandkids, and what happens when you get in trouble? Oh, I go on timeout. Where is that timeout? And for my two, Sylvan and Ingrid, it was on the stairs. They sit on the bottom stair of their staircase that goes up to the second floor. And they knew right where it was, And so that's a fun conversation. I'm going to do an episode on the podcast in a little bit. I'm still gathering. But I'm asking kids questions about parents and what parents are supposed to do and how they react to things. And then we're going to do an episode of all these little kids telling us about their parents. Should be fun. Anyway, so we've got all of those things going for you. That's something for you to try. All right. Number 2 is use timers and give warnings. So, and then mean what you say. If you say 5 minutes, you make it 5 minutes. If you say you've got a half an hour, they've got a half an hour. But we're not going to say 2 more minutes and then, 5 minutes later, 6 minutes later, it's like, okay, I said 2 minutes. Well, it was past that 2 minutes, so I figured you forgot about it, right? One of the things that I use, and it's one of the teacher's best friends, and it can be a parent's best friend as well, is a timer. And you can get all kinds of timers. Just go to Amazon or anywhere, or just Google timers for kids. They have timers for brushing teeth. They have timers for washing your hands for a full 20 seconds. They've got timers that so it can go up to an hour, and there's a red part that shows, so this is how much time is left, and as that red gets smaller and smaller, then it's a visual for them. So for a kid that doesn't know their numbers yet or whatever, that might be a good thing for them. I would choose a timer, if you can, that they can carry, that they can hold, that you can set down right next to them. So if you don't, because the phone is great. I use the phone a lot in my classroom. It's just we're setting the timer, and then we're going to trade toys in, you've got 5 minutes, and then you're going to share with so and so. Most of the time, by the time my timer went off, they were already sharing. Isn't that an amazing thing? They were already sharing. So, but maybe I just had super amazing kids. I really have been blessed with some of the best students in the world that have blessed my life and my classroom. And so I'm always so grateful for them. But anyway, so if you have a timer that they can hold, that is really good, because then they see it, coming down. The one where it shows the red, it's kind of interesting. They're really intrigued by that. And so it lets them see, oh, it's getting smaller, 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 And then when it goes off, okay, timer went off. So now we're going to put that away, and we're going to come eat, or we're going to go brush our teeth or take our bath or whatever it is that you need them to do. So that's one of the things that you can do. But be realistic about how much time that they are going to have to wait. The younger they are, the less amount of time that you're going to be able to do. So for like a toddler or, an older toddler, 5 minutes is probably going to be tops for you. And you know your kid and what they can handle if they're having to wait for you to do something. But 5 minutes is something also that they really understand. Okay, in 5 minutes, you have to share this toy with your brother or your sister or your cousin or the dog. but just they can get 5 minutes usually, and they understand that. And especially when you have that timer there. And then when they hear it, now, is it going to work every time? No. But it will work most of the time, honestly, most of the time. And here's another thing that you're teaching your kiddos is that you mean what you say. So that when the timer goes off, because if you don't set a timer, it's for you as well. For me, I get busy. I'm Miss ADHD. We all know where my son Christian got his ADHD from. And so it's easy for me to go down a rabbit hole and completely lose track of time. So the timer isn't just for my child. It's for it's for me as well. Oh gosh, that timer went off. Okay, here we go. Because they need to know that you mean what you say. If you say we're leaving in 5 minutes, then you better leave in 5 minutes. Now, when you first start it, they're going to test you to see, because they're not used to you. You've been saying this for a long time and you never meant it before. Why should I take you seriously now, right? So when you're making a change and you're like, okay, I've got this in my head, I'm really going to be good at following through when I say X amount of time. I'm going to be awesome at it. And so they are going to challenge you on it. You need to calmly assert yourself, make sure that they understand, nope, the timer went off. And so you don't need to say, I said da-da-da. You can almost blame, no, the timer went off. That means it's time to go brush your teeth. Do you remember we talked about this? What was going to happen when the timer goes off? What's happening? And now, and two, even when you start the timer, you might reinforce, okay, I'm setting the timer. What's going to happen when the timer goes off? Gotta brush my teeth. Okay, I'm glad you remembered that. And then you're going to do it. So then when it does go off, what did we say is going to happen? I have to brush my teeth. Okay, let's go do that. So you're going to have just more opportunities for success for you and your child when you do that. I know that there are times when I just have to finish this email, or I have some work, grading papers or getting lesson plans done, and I really needed to have some things done and I needed some time. So then, and the kids are like, ah, Mom, ah. I'm like, okay, guys, I need Can you give me 15 minutes? Let's set the timer. When the timer goes off, I have to stop what I'm doing here, and I am going to go and spend 15 minutes with you, or we'll go get dinner started, or whatever it is. But you can come up with something. But so then the kids get to use the timer on you, and they're going to start seeing how, oh, the timer's off. I promised that I was going to do this, so now you're going to go do it. Am I finished? Nope, but I said I would stop when that timer goes off. So I'm gonna go follow through with what I said I would do, and then later I'll have to come back and do it. Now, it can be inconvenient at first, but as your kids get used to that, it's gonna be easier and easier and easier as you move down. So just remember, anytime you make changes, even changes for the better, it's hard on kids. We've seen studies where kids have gone from a small apartment and they were able to move into a beautiful house in a beautiful neighborhood with a park across the street. All these great things, right? And yet they still struggle with the transition, because even if it's changed for the better, it's still change. And that can be a little difficult for kids to get used to and going through that. So keep that in mind as you're working on some of those things. Okay, so now we've talked about teaching the lesson later, letting them calm down, right? And getting to a point where you can have a conversation. We've talked about using a timer and giving warnings. And now, and I've alluded to this with timers, but I'm going to go into it a little more deeply, with follow through. Mean what you say and follow through with it. So, don't offer a consequence that you are unwilling or even unable to do. You're grounded for a year. Right, Mom? Because when they're grounded, you're grounded, right? Because you got to supervise. So think about, be thoughtful about what is going on. Oh, I can see that you are not ready to eat in a restaurant. So we're going to pack up, we're going to go get the bill, whatever, and you can get to-go boxes if you need to, and we're going to leave, because they've lost or forgotten, right? They forgot how to behave in a restaurant or at a movie or whatever it is that you've got to do. But I would say